Ladies and gentlemen, we talk about forgiveness like it's a gift we hand to someone else, like it's about making them feel better, making them feel welcome again. But real forgiveness, that's for you. That's for your peace. See, forgiving in silence and never speaking to them again, that's not bitterness, that's wisdom. That's knowing the difference between carrying a grudge and learning a lesson. Some people think forgiveness means restoration, like it's a reset button. But let me tell you something. Some people don't deserve a second chance at your life. Some people don't deserve the privilege of hearing your voice, of knowing your thoughts, of having access to you. Because when someone betrays you, disrespects you, or takes your kindness for weakness, believe them. Believe their actions. And when you walk away, don't announce it, don't make a scene, just go. Go in silence, go with grace, but go for good, because silence is an answer too, and sometimes it's the only answer they deserve. Thank you. Silence is an answer too. See, we live in a world where people expect words. They expect explanations, justifications, long-winded conversations that end up going nowhere. They expect you to break yourself down trying to make them understand the pain they caused, the betrayal they left behind, the damage they did. But let me tell you something. Silence speaks louder than any words ever could. When you forgive someone in silence and walk away, you are making one of the most powerful statements possible. You are saying, I see exactly who you are. I recognize what you've done, and I refuse to give you any more of my energy. That kind of decision doesn't come from anger, it doesn't come from revenge, it comes from strength. See, people will tell you that in order to heal, you have to talk it out. That closure requires a conversation. That forgiveness is only real if you let them know you've forgiven them. But that's not true. Some people don't deserve closure. Some people don't deserve to know whether or not you're still hurting. Some people don't even deserve the sound of your voice anymore. Because when someone has shown you who they really are, when they have lied, manipulated, betrayed, or taken advantage of you, what else is there to say? What conversation will undo their actions? What words will make you forget what they did? Some things are beyond fixing, and that's okay. Forgiveness is about freeing yourself from the weight of anger and resentment, but it doesn't mean you owe anyone a seat back at your table. A lot of people mistake silence for weakness. They think if you don't respond, if you don't fight back, if you don't engage in an argument, then you must not have anything to say. But silence is not weakness. Silence is control. Silence is discipline. It takes real power to say, I won't let this consume me. It takes real growth to decide, I am moving forward, and I will not take this pain with me. Think about it. How many times have you wasted your energy trying to explain yourself to people who were committed to misunderstanding you? How many times have you replayed the same argument in your head, wishing you had said something different, done something different? And for what? Did it change the outcome? Did it bring you peace? No. Because peace doesn't come from getting the last word. Peace doesn't come from proving a point. Peace comes from understanding that not everyone is meant to go where you're going. And that's why silence is sometimes the best answer you can give. When you forgive in silence and never speak to them again, you are choosing yourself. You are choosing your future over your past. You are choosing peace over drama. And that is something not everyone will understand. Some people will call you cold. Some people will call you heartless. Some people will try to guilt you into believing that forgiveness means giving them another chance. But let me tell you this, you do not owe anyone access to you just because you found it in your heart to forgive them. You can wish them well, you can hope they grow, you can pray they become better, but you don't have to watch it happen. You don't have to be a part of their story anymore. Because silence is an answer. It says, I've learned my lesson. It says, I don't need you to understand. It says, I am at peace with my decision. And the most powerful thing about silence, it leaves no room for argument. There is no back and forth, no drawn-out conversation, no justification. Just a quiet, unwavering decision to move forward, with or without them. And when you make that choice, when you choose your peace over their presence, when you choose growth over familiarity, when you choose to forgive in silence and never look back, understand this, you are not being cruel. You are not being unfair. You are simply protecting your peace. And that is one of the most powerful things you will ever do. Forgiveness is for you, not for them. We've been taught that forgiveness is something we give to others, like a gift wrapped in humility and kindness, meant to make them feel better about what they did. But let me tell you the truth. Real forgiveness has nothing to do with them. It's not about wiping away what they did so they can sleep better at night. Forgiveness is about you. It's about reclaiming your power. It's about choosing not to let their actions hold you hostage any longer. Because let's be real, hurt sits heavy on the soul. When someone wrongs you, when someone betrays you, it creates a weight. You carry it in your thoughts, in your emotions, sometimes even in your body. It sits with you when you wake up. It follows you throughout the day. And if you're not careful, it seeps into who you are. But here's the thing. Holding on to resentment doesn't punish them. It punishes you. They move on. They go about their lives. They laugh. They sleep peacefully at night. Meanwhile, you're the one carrying the burden of what they did. You're the one reliving it. Over and over. You're the one stuck in the past, holding on to a pain they might not even think about anymore. And that's why you don't forgive for them. You forgive for you. Because forgiveness is freedom. It's letting go of the poison before it seeps too deep. It's choosing peace over pain. It's deciding that what they did will not define you. Now, don't get it twisted. Forgiving someone doesn't mean you have to welcome them back into your life. It doesn't mean you have to trust them again. It doesn't mean you owe them a conversation, closure, or a second chance. Some people will tell you that if you truly forgive, you should be able to reconnect, to restore the relationship, to move forward together. But that's not true. Some people don't deserve to move forward with you. Some people don't deserve another seat at your table. Forgiveness and reconciliation are two different things. Forgiveness is internal. It's personal. It's about making peace with the past so you can move toward your future. Reconciliation, on the other hand, is a choice. And not everyone deserves that choice. Because let's be honest, some people knew exactly what they were doing when they hurt you. They knew their actions would cause damage and they did it anyway. So why should they get another chance? Why should they get to come back into your life just because you found it in your heart to forgive? You can forgive someone and still walk away. You can release the anger, the bitterness, the resentment, without ever speaking to them again. Because forgiving someone doesn't mean they win. It doesn't mean you're excusing what they did. It doesn't mean you're saying it didn't hurt. It simply means you refuse to let that hurt control you anymore. And that is where true power lies. Because the moment you decide to forgive, not for them, but for you, you reclaim control. You take your power back from the person who wronged you. You choose peace over pain. You decide that your future is worth more than your past. And that kind of decision, that kind of strength, it changes everything. Because when you finally let go, when you release the anger, the grudge, the desire for revenge, you make space for something greater. You make space for healing. You make space for joy. You make space for the things and the people who are actually meant to be in your life. So don't forgive because they deserve it. Forgive because you deserve peace. Don't forgive to make them feel better. Forgive to free yourself from the weight of what they did. Don't forgive to keep them in your life. Forgive so that you can move forward without them. Because at the end of the day, forgiveness is never about them. It's always about you. Not everyone deserves access to you. Read that again. Let it sink in. Because the truth is, your time, your energy, your presence, these are not things to be handed out freely to just anyone. They are privileges. And the people in your life should earn the right to be there. Too often, we let the wrong people stay too long. We let them drain us, use us, take us for granted. All because we don't want to seem mean, cold, or unforgiving. We feel guilty for walking away. We feel like we owe people a place in our lives just because of history, just because of how much we once cared. But let me tell you something. Just because someone was a part of your past doesn't mean they deserve to be part of your future. Not everyone should have access to you. Some people are only meant to be in your life for a season. Some people were only supposed to teach you a lesson, and some people, they were never supposed to be there in the first place. Yet we hold on. We make excuses for them. We ignore the red flags. We tell ourselves that we're being too harsh, that we should give them another chance. But every time we do, we find ourselves right back in the same cycle, drained, disappointed, disrespected. It's time to break that cycle. It's time to realize that access to you is not a right. It's not something that should be taken for granted. The people in your life should uplift you, support you, respect you. They should bring peace, not chaos. They should add value, not drain it. And if they don't, if they show you time and time again that they are careless with your heart, your time, your energy, then it's time to shut the door. No explanations, no warnings, just distance. Because your energy is sacred, your peace is sacred, your life is sacred. And not everyone deserves a front row seat to it. That doesn't mean you hold grudges, it doesn't mean you're bitter, it doesn't mean you walk around angry at the world, it just means you've learned. You've learned that you can love people from a distance. You can wish them well without letting them back in. You can forgive them without letting them back in. You can forgive them without allowing them to continue to hurt you. And the moment you realize that, everything changes. Because too often we think that by cutting someone off, we're being heartless. But the truth is, protecting your peace is an act of self-respect. Think about it. If someone repeatedly disrespects you, takes advantage of you, makes you question your worth, why would you keep letting them in? Why would you keep giving them more chances to hurt you? There comes a time when you have to stop seeing people for who you want them to be and start seeing them for who they are. You have to stop romanticizing potential and start recognizing patterns. Because potential doesn't mean anything if their actions don't align with it. And patterns don't lie. If someone has shown you over and over that they don't value you, that they don't respect you, that they don't care about how their actions affect you, believe them. And then act accordingly. That means setting boundaries. That means walking away from people who no longer align with your growth. That means understanding that you don't have to explain yourself to anyone who doesn't respect you enough to treat you right the first time. And yes, that will be hard. It will be uncomfortable. Because the people who benefit from your lack of boundaries will be the first to call you selfish when you finally enforce them. They will make you feel guilty. They will try to manipulate you into thinking that you're wrong for prioritizing yourself. But let me remind you, there is nothing wrong with choosing yourself. There is nothing wrong with protecting your peace. There is nothing wrong with deciding that some people don't belong in your space anymore, because not everyone deserves access to you. And once you learn that, once you accept that, you'll realize something powerful. You don't lose people when you set boundaries. There are others living the life you wish them to live. You lose people who are only benefiting from you not having any. Growth requires letting go. That's the part nobody tells you. Everybody talks about growth like it's this beautiful, empowering thing, and it is. But what they don't always say is that growth comes with loss. Growth comes with discomfort. Growth comes with making decisions that don't always feel good in the moment, but are necessary for your future. Because the truth is, you can't move forward while still holding on to what's weighing you down. You can't step into the next chapter of your life if you're still reading the last one over and over again. At some point, you have to close that book. At some point, you have to understand that not everything and everyone is meant to go where you're going. Letting go is not weakness. It's not giving up. It's not being cold or uncaring. Letting go is a sign that you've learned. It's a sign that you've outgrown the spaces, the habits, and the people that no longer serve you. But here's the hard part. Growth isn't just about letting go of people. Sometimes you have to let go of versions of yourself that no longer fit who you're becoming. You have to let go of the old mindset that kept you playing small. You have to let go of the self-doubt that told you you weren't good enough. You have to let go of the fear that kept you stuck in the same place for too long. Because growth demands change. And change is uncomfortable. Change means stepping into the unknown. Change means walking away from things that feel familiar, even if they're not good for you. See, a lot of people hold on not because they truly want to, but because it's what they know. They hold on to friendships that have expired, to relationships that are broken, to habits that no longer align with their goals. They hold on because the idea of letting go is scary, because sometimes even pain can feel comfortable when it's all you've known. But just because something is familiar doesn't mean it's right for you. Just because you've known someone for years doesn't mean they still belong in your life. Just because you've always done something a certain way doesn't mean it's the best way. At some point, you have to ask yourself, are you holding on because it's truly meant for you? Or are you holding on because you're afraid of what happens when you let go? Because the reality is, the things you refuse to release might be the very things holding you back. You want to grow? You want to evolve? You want to step into the best version of yourself? Then you have to make room. You have to clear out the things, the people, the mindsets that no longer align with where you're headed. It's not easy. Nobody said it would be. But every time you choose to let go of something that no longer serves you, you're making space for something better. That toxic relationship that you keep going back to, it's blocking the healthy love that's waiting for you. That friendship that drains you, that always takes but never gives, it's keeping you from connections that actually uplift and support you. That negative self-talk that plays on repeat in your mind, it's stopping you from seeing your own potential. Let them go, let it go, free yourself. Because here's the thing, when you finally let go of what's not meant for you, you start to attract, you start to move differently, you start to think differently, you start to create space for the things and people that actually align with your future, and you realize that the pain of letting go was nothing compared to the freedom you gained from it. So if you're on the edge of change, if you feel like something in your life isn't quite right anymore, if you know deep down that you're holding on to things that are keeping you stuck, listen to that feeling, because growth requires letting go. And the moment you stop clinging to the past, you'll finally have both hands free to reach for the future.